They've cut back water. They've saved like 100 acre feet of water
Joseph
by just
W.
having a
Brady
more
raises
efficient
important
irrigation
issues
system and the
that Spring
timers.
Valley Lake
So
residents
they're
should
doing all the
hear
great stuff. So
as
this
the
next week
April
marks
SVLA
their first week.
election approaches.
We have elections coming up at the end of April. There are a couple. I think there are three slots that are up. There's an incumbent by the name of Brad Lettner, who I know well. He's rerunning. He has two of his friends he's running on a slate. Then you've got a couple other people on in there, Rick Bowie, who I know well, and Tim Craig, who I know well, and Ricky Zimmerman, who I know well. Those three, I think, are going to be running together. The race is coming up. I think that some of the things I think that people in Spring Valley Lake need to really start paying some attention to. We were open in 1969. We've got some age on us. The association smartly this year dropped down the lake to its lowest level ever to fix the coving. But I think that the coving, and I've heard some pretty significant numbers of what was spent. I really do think that the association needs to have a very candid conversation with the 4,215 lot owners about what they do with the lake, and I think the lake probably needs to be drained and take a lot of the stuff at the bottom that has built up since 1969 out. I know some people probably don't like the number, but I've been told it's 10 to 11 million bucks. When I was chairman of the finance committee in 05, 06, 07, we were looking at 8 million bucks without the cost of water. So I really think that this year, whoever gets on the board really needs to sit down with the association and its residents and say, how are we going to do this? Where's the money going to come from? And quite candidly, how are we going to, if we're going to assess people to do it, that's one option. But how do you assess if the lake benefits the lake owners that are in front of it? Do they pay more than somebody that's on the golf course that shouldn't? So I think that after all these years, I think that I have heard very recently from somebody that I really trust that there's always been a lake committee and there's always been some great volunteers, but I think that this year I guess that they're making some strides in trying to work with the Fitch hatchery where some of the nutrients are coming down and do have an impact. I talked to one of the lake members the other day, and he's real excited about it. But it's something I think that needs to be dealt with. I think the next thing that they need to deal with is what is the community center park going to look like. The baseball diamond was apparently not built to specs. It's not the right length to have sanctioned games. It's an issue that was a $300,000 issue. So that I think needs to be dealt with. I know that you've got people like Robert Reed that are absolutely passionate about the park and about kids. I think that our community center should be built for our kids in Spring Valley Lake. I don't think it's something that necessarily should be open to the rest of the world. If you want to use it, then you should move into Spring Valley Lake and pay $100 a month on dues like everybody else. So I think you've got that. I think the county's done a great job. They've got the streets done. They've got the MAC, the Municipal Advisory Council that Bill Walters is the chairman of, and he works with Steve Samaras. There's 5 members of that committee. I think they're doing a good job. Public safety is a huge issue. They're trying to do everything they can with the California Highway Patrol, who has had an increase in the amount of citations in there, and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department through Shannon Dicus to kind of slow down the speeds. They're looking at the speed bumps in there. Supervisor Cook in his office is doing that. They work very closely with Samuel Shoup, who's the field rep. But I think that I think this year's conversation, they've got a meeting of the candidates coming up here real soon. I think the lake's an issue. I think the community center's an issue. I personally believe that the board should take a look at increasing the number of cameras that we have in there so that we get more license plate detection. I don't have a problem if I'm driving along. I don't care who's looking at my license plate. But I think if we have a crime that's committed, we should be able to go to that footage. We had in the last 2 months, I was reading somewhere that somebody came in the middle of the night and cut off somebody's catalytic converter, and it was a big one. So with those cameras, I think that if people understood, you drive in Springville Lake, you're going to have a camera. I drive in cities all the time. They have cameras. I don't care if I'm not doing it. I don't take this that they shouldn't take a picture of me. I think that it's there if you're not committing a crime, then what's the big deal? I
We
know,
hope you can be with us on our next report when Joseph W.
Most
Brady
imp-
tells
one of
of
the most important
developments
things,
at
and maybe we can
Victor
make it a little
Valley
second
College,
increase in
including receiving the
in our
nationally
population.
acclaimed
Yeah. I mean,
Rice
so we're doing
Award.
so. We just won the John Rice Award for what we're doing on the diversity side and what
We
we've
hope you
done,
can be with us next
on
time. Thank you
making
for
things
watching
better on
this
diversity
report.